How to choose a tie. Few fashion accessories can enhance an outfit like a necktie. Follow these tips to look your classiest. You will need ties, jackets, suits, shirts, and self-awareness. Optional, a sense of style. Step 1. Pick a tie that hits the top of your belt buckle and measures between 2 1/4 and 4 inches wide. For a classic look, choose a width that corresponds to the width of your jacket's lapel. Step 2. Wear wool ties with tweed or heavyweight jackets and silk ties with business suits. For a deeper color quality on silk ties, make sure they're woven rather than screened. Step 3. Select a tie that has the colors of your suit and shirt as well as at least one other color to provide an accent. For formal occasions, choose a solid-colored tie that's darker than your shirt. Avoid novelty ties. Though they can provide a festive look, they're more likely to be distracting. Step 4. Frame your face. If you have dark hair and a dark complexion, go with a bright tie. If you're fair, choose a darker tie. If your hair and skin tone contrast, wear a tie that contrasts with your skin tone. Step 5. Pick a pattern that complements your outfit. If your shirt's pattern is pronounced, choose a subtle tie. If your shirt is muted, your tie can be a bit flashier. If you wear a striped tie and striped shirt, make sure the stripes are different sizes. Step 6. When in doubt, stay subtle. While a tie can be the focal point of an outfit, it's an accessory and shouldn't pull the focus away from you. Did you know? The French popularized the necktie in the 17th century after seeing it on Croatian soldiers during the 30 Years' War.
How to tie a bow tie. You've got style, you've got class, you've got no reason to still be wearing a clip-on. Show off your suave side with a perfectly knotted tie. You will need a bow tie and patience. Step 1. Acquaint yourself with the basic dynamics of a real bow tie. A standard bow tie consists of a single, long band with 2 hourglass shapes at either end. Step 2. Drape the tie around your neck with one hourglass 1½ inches lower than the other. Its narrow middle should be even with the bottom of the other hourglass. For a thicker knot, use a tie made of thicker material. Also, a tie made of a textured material will hold a knot better than one made from a smooth material. Step 3. Cross the longer end of the tie over the shorter end to form an X. Step 4. Pinching the X together, lift it away from you slightly and pass the longer end of the bow tie up and over the top of the X. Adjust the tightness of the knot now, as you won't be able to readjust later. Step 5. Bring the shorter end up to the knot and form it into a bow tie shape. By folding the wide bulb of the hourglass in half, its narrow midpoint should sit right at the knot. Use one hand to keep this bow in place the rest of the way. Step 6. Bring the long end straight down over the middle of this bow and start to form it into a bow shape too. Step 7. Now here's the tricky part. As you form this bow, simultaneously bring it up behind the first bow and pull the folded edge through the knot. Step 8. Pull on both bows at the same time to tighten the knot. Adjust the bow shapes to match, and if necessary, straighten the knot. Now quick, do something debonair. Did you know? Dating to the 18th century, the bow tie is likely derived from the French jabot, a style of frilly cravat.
How to tie a double Windsor knot. A double Windsor knot, also known as a full Windsor, gives you a much fuller knot than the 4-in-hand or the half Windsor. You will need a necktie, a dress shirt, and a mirror. Step 1. Face the mirror, flip up the collar of your dress shirt, and button the top button. Use the double Windsor knot instead of the more basic 4-in-hand for more formal occasions. Step 2. Drape the necktie around your neck so the wide end is on your right and the thin end is on your left. The wide end should hang about a foot longer than the thin end. Step 3. Hold the wide end in your right hand and the thin end in your left and cross the wide end over the thin end. Allow 6 to 8 inches of the thin end to hang below the intersection point. Step 4. Bring the wide end behind and through the loop around your neck and pull it downward. Step 5. Wrap the wide end around the back of the narrow end and thread it upward and through the neck loop again. Step 6. Wrap the wide end around the knot and pull it to the right. Then bring it around the back and upward through the loop. Finally, tuck it into the loop in front of the knot that was created by wrapping the wide end around the knot and pull the end through. Step 7. Adjust the double Windsor knot so that it is centered and the angles are sharp. Pull the collar down when you are satisfied with the shape of your knot. Did you know? More than 900 years old, Windsor Castle is the largest occupied castle in the world and is an official residence of the Queen of England.
Hello, I'm Charles from Louis Purple, and today I'm going to teach you how to tie a Windsor knot. The Windsor knot is actually a very simple knot to tie, and it's very useful because it projects confidence. So it's a wide triangular knot that's very suitable for presentation, job interviews, or courtroom appearances, which I hope you don't frequent too often. So this is how you start. You just find the right balance depending on the length of your tie, with a wide end on the right hand side and the narrow end on the left. You might want to adjust exactly where the center of the tie should be, in the middle of your neck. So this is how you start. You cross over the wide end over the narrow end. You bring the wide end through the loop between the collar and the tie, and you bring the wide end back down. Then you just pull the wide end underneath and then bring it up through the loop again in order to have a symmetrical shape, which should look like this. And you're almost done. That's only the easy part left and the most rewarding. Pull the wide end in front, bring the wide end underneath, and then slide it inside the loop and tighten the knot. You draw the knot up in order to fit your collar. So it's a knot that's really suitable for widespread collars. And as I said, then you can just adjust and tighten how big of a knot you'd like to obtain. This is how you tie a Windsor knot.
How to tie a bow tie. Whether you're a distinguished professor, a fledgling politician, or a James Bond wannabe, knowing how to tie a bow tie comes with the territory. You will need a bow tie, a dress shirt or a tuxedo shirt, a mirror. Step 1. Lift up the collar of your shirt and drape the tie around your neck with one end hanging 1.5 inches below the other end. Step 2. Button the top button of your shirt. If you want a nice thick knot, use a tie made of a thick material. Step 3. Cross the long end in front of the short end. Step 4. With your thumb, bring the long end behind the short end and pass it up through the loop so that it hangs down on top of the shorter end. Adjust the tightness of the tie now, as you won't be able to adjust it later. Step 5. Push the long end aside and double the short end on itself so the narrow portion of the end is brought up to the knot and the loop lays sideways from one collar point to the other. Step 6. Hold this bow with one hand and don't let go. This will stay in place for the rest of the steps. Step 7. Pull the other end straight up behind the bow, then loop it around the middle of the bow. Step 8. With the end behind the bow again, push the wide center of the end through the knot, creating a new bow facing in the opposite direction as the first one. Step 9. Pull on both bows at the same time to tighten the knot. Step 10. Gently pull on the ends to return them to the same length as the bows if necessary. Straighten the knot. Quick! Do something debonair. Did you know, dating to the 18th century, the bow tie is likely derived from the French habot, a style of frilly cravat? How to tie a full Windsor knot. Named for, you guessed it, the dapper Duke of Windsor, the full Windsor knot is the kind of knot that's large and in charge. You will need a necktie, a dress shirt, a mirror. Step 1. Lift up the collar of your shirt. The full Windsor knot is ideally suited for wide, spread collar shirts. Step 2. Button the top button of your shirt. Step 3. Drape the tie around your neck with the wider end of the tie on your right. It should be dangling about 12 inches below the skinny end of the tie. The seam should be facing your shirt. Step 4. Cross the wide end toward the left over the front of the skinny end of your tie. Step 5. Direct the wide end around behind the skinny end and up through the loop around your neck, letting the wide end fall down the front. Step 6. Take the wide end with your left hand and bring it to your left and then behind the knot, passing it off to your right hand. The seam of the wide end should now be facing out. Step 7. Bring the wide end up and through the front of the loop, pulling it down and to the right. The seam should now be facing out. Step 8. Drape the wide end of the tie to the left across the front of the knot. Step 9. Bring the wide end behind the knot and up through the loop. Step 10. Thread the wide end through the top of the knot and pull it down to tighten. Step 11. Tighten the tie around your neck by holding the skinny end of the tie and sliding the knot toward your neck. Step 12. Put your collar down, make any final adjustments, and let your friends call you Duke. Did you know the debonair Fred Astaire often wore a silk tie as a belt?
How to tie a tie, 4 in hand. A symbol of royalty in ancient Rome, China, and Egypt, a necktie has always conferred status of some kind. Learning to properly tie the 4 in hand is a sure sign of manhood. You will need a necktie and a dress shirt. Optional, a mirror. Step 1. Lift up the collar of your shirt. Step 2. Button the top button of your shirt. Step 3. Drape the tie around your neck with the wider end of the tie on your right. It should be dangling about 12 inches below the skinny end of the tie. The seam should be facing your shirt. Step 4. Cross the wide end of the tie toward the left over the front of the skinny end of your tie. Step 5. Turn the wide end back underneath the narrow end toward the right. Step 6. Again, cross the wide end over the front of the skinny end toward the left. Step 7. Pull the wide end of the tie up and underneath the loop with the seam facing out. Step 8. Hold the front of the forming knot loosely with your index finger, creating a space for the wide end of the tie to be brought straight down through the front of the knot, with the seam facing your shirt. To create a dimple, a classic finishing touch, squeeze the bottom of the knot so the wide end of the tie is forced to fold in on itself. This dimple should be neat and centered. Step 9. Tighten the knot slowly and carefully to the collar of your shirt by holding the narrow end of the tie and sliding the knot up into position. Step 10. Fold your collar down and survey your work. The narrow end of your tie should be hidden behind the wide end, which should fall to your belt line. Put on your jacket and you're ready to go. Did you know? Countess Mara, a famous tie designer in the 1940s, once said, "Tell a man you like his necktie, and you'll see his personality unfold like a flower."